and then comes back in the morning, you know, you don't have a processing day. A lot of this processing, as you know, that's the bottleneck. I mean, that's the big, all hands on deck, big deal, okay? And so, so the more you can take this processing and not have it such a marathon. We're going to process this morning.
Split up independent activities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to get this stuff chilled down, shove it in a cooler overnight. We're going to enjoy supper and all that, and then we come back tomorrow morning. We're all
Two people
fresh,
can bag them all in
and
an
then
hour.
we can bag them, or we cut them up,
Yeah.
or we do whatever we're going to do with them. And it kind of breaks up the thing to where it's not quite such a long, arduous day. And now if we're just bagging, yeah, we go ahead and bag in the afternoon. Then they're in there. You don't have to look at it tomorrow. But anything that we're cutting up, we're doing anything else too, we do the next day. We don't try to cram it into the processing day.
How much time do you guys spend on one chicken from beginning slaughter to?
How long is the chicken in the process? Yes. Our average bird is in the process 10 to 15 minutes from kill to chill. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, if you're making some mistakes with the scald water, obviously, and
Right.
the QC backs up, then you know that's your big deal. But if everything's running pretty clean, 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not far off from that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And our benchmark, just so I'll give you some benchmarks as we go along, just so you understand. Our benchmark is 25 birds per person. So if we have two people,
hour?
yeah, per hour, 25 birds per person per hour. So if we have one person, that's 25, two people 50, three people 75, four people 100, up to 8 at 200, and at that point we start maxing out our processing facility. We just can't, we can't handle it. So eight people, 25, 200 birds an hour is
we
our
have some
benchmark.
efficiency.
We're close to that.
How many can you do an hour, Craig?
We're on the
Yeah,
right
but see,
side-
but that-
on the right
that's
side
plain
zero.
farming.
No, but see, that just goes down
Right.
to our knives, the way that it's set up, the way that it's put into a line instead of just being a triangle like a normal kitchen that you can
Right.
get from point A to point B without having to walk more than 5 steps.
You don't want to have to walk anywhere.
Exactly.
You want your kill. You don't want to have to walk with killed chickens over to a scalder. You want to be able to stand right here, take them and pivot, take them and pivot, and then from the scalder to the picker again, no steps, and then picker to table.
Plants and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, this is wonderful infrastructure, man.
Your feed.
Unbelievable.
Where are you at? You're not growing your own
No.
hay and corn and to make your feed. You're buying your feed.
That's right.
And you don't you're not buying the extra, taking that step for organic, right? 'Cause
No.
and I read about how you.
No.
So I've had even 2 days ago a conversation with someone in town who said, I can get extreme, question from one or comment from a person who will say, you really, you're paying a ridiculous amount, $20 a bag for organic feed versus $9 a bag for non-organic, and the chicken really just doesn't take up enough of that into the system to make a difference because the plant didn't take up very much either of pesticides or whatever. And then the other extreme that says that stuff is so loaded and it is so bad. And I said, I get both of those comments.
Nobody's ever found toxicity problems in our chickens, even though we don't use organic feeds. And so we really trust the grass to do much of that detoxification for us. Now, we would love to use, organic grain, but there's not any grown in our area. We would have to import it from 1,000 miles away. And
That'd be expensive.
yeah, that'd be very expensive. And so our position is we're trusting the grass to get this to 95% purity that everybody can afford, rather than bathing everything in diesel fuel from 1,000 miles away to
Right,
get it
totally.
100% that only 5% of the people can afford.
Got it. That's an interesting thing.
What's the source of
What a
the?
neat, well, you got some
This is the old dairy feed
wonderful
barn.
buildings here, man.
This is our party barn. This is our party barn. On a sustainable farm, you just don't need this in this climate.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, you know, drop a wall down here. I mean, you're facing. I don't know where south is. South must be kind of out this.
Yep, down that way.
Down that way. But I mean, you've got a nice concrete floor with a nice riser here that you could tuck a nice big brooder house in here. Lots of room. I mean, you could turn this whole alley into a brooder house if you wanted to.
Keep everything localized too.
It would keep everything.
The chickens are right there.
Keep everything close. You got lots of light. I mean, you're starving for light down there.
Right.
That's really, you're not getting any natural light. And this way you could make this a window side here and get them a lot of light. You've already got your concrete. You got everything poured in here. You drop a little bit of some walls here, you know, simple, and boom, you're up and running.
But then you also got
well, it also gives you the ability to quadruple or increase your production
Absolutely.
amazingly.
With nothing more than just a little
We've
bit of
got all the
studding and
water.
some walls. You got your water here, and when it's done, you just come over to the front end loader and you clean it out. You don't have to
Right
do
to the
anything
compost.
with shovels. You can store your carbon right here next to it. So you've always got a big cart. You could buy carbon by the tractor trailer load, push it all in here. You got it set for the seat. You don't have to come in here with little bags and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Shovels.
totally.
So you'd better think about how do we take these buildings and turn $100,000 a year through this building so it pays for itself.
We have this loafing barn, this was a dairy previously, and the cows would be brought in before they would be milked they would feed them there and then move them up to the milking area. And we considered making it a little bit of an event barn so our members could come and have dinners from the farm there in the spring, summer, and fall. You know, birthday parties for the little kids. You know, have this space. And he, you know, with one look at it, you could tell he stopped talking. He was staring at it, and he said, you know, and suddenly we could house our farrowing, our pigs there at one end. We could have our brooder down there eventually, which would be better than where we have it because it's, for all these different reasons of construction around it, it'd be much better down in that loafing barn for the baby chicks.
I think there's a little bit of we'd convinced ourselves that our property was different than the property he's working on and hence somehow harder to work with. And he assured us it wasn't.
Okay, so just, you know, here's a,
Yep.
this is the CFO's design on our greenhouse. So my sister and her daughter.
This was
I'm
full
so
of
ignorant to
tomatoes.
this era.
We got them started a little late.
This was
last
definitely
year.
done poor boy, but it survived.
Yeah, it actually flipped once and we had to rebuild. Wind. The gust of wind took it, ripped it up.
Yeah.
It didn't have the wooden ends on it.
We've
so it was a
never
heavy
been
nut.
satisfied with anything we've ever built with PVC.
Right now,
Really?
we're just
Never.
curing.
It's one of my
I mean, like
rules.
wind is gonna, those will cut
Yeah,
punch through.
yeah. My rule is never build anything out of PVC.
We were hoping
Everything
to make it light enough that you could move it.
Yeah.
Uniform
Right,
bed
right,
width,
right,
and we
right.
can move it anywhere in
Right.
the
Yeah,
area.
it was. Yeah.
Right.
It's been,
Yeah.
it's been-
PVC is so brittle.
Yeah.
It'll crack. Just and you know, wood you can scab on a piece. You can kind of work with wood, you know. But if PVC cracks, you're stuck. You know, you're out. So anyway, sure is nice. Obviously, Elisha has a green thumb.
Yeah.
No question about that. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Done it.
Nice work.
Couldn't do it without him. You know, it's funny because we didn't, you know, I always consider whether, because it's so labor intensive on one hand, but it's what's expected by our clients. And, you know, we really don't have a handle on how efficient
How efficient was it?
we are at making this work financially. Because we,
This is where the interns are needed. This is where I can see interns.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, this
You know,
this is.
With the rest of taking care of the land and everything like that, you know, that can be done with one-time employee. Nico, come here. Be done with a one-time employee. But you know, the interns would, you know.
Do you have a? Are you watching your benchmarks on dollars per linear per square or per square yard or anything here so that you can get an idea of?
no.
This is the second. This
We've
is the second
talked
pass
about
through.
it.
Uh-huh.
You know, Craig's really good at talking through it from an example standpoint. But and like we went through it with corn because this was all corn and melons last year. And we talked about how, you know, corn is not the thing to plant.
Yep.
Given what it can do per square foot.
Yeah,
So,
but customers love it.
oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing like corn
and so,
for customers.
Yeah, they
A
love
lot
that.
of
They love
biomass
the
too.
tons of for the compost and
right.
the pigs and and so we've talked about it. We went through the numbers on what we had in the from the summer and fall, and then the rest of the answer would be no.
Okay, so in other words, when you're going through and picking, nobody's sitting here with a tick sheet saying out of these many square feet we got this amount of saleable product.
Haven't done that yet.
Okay.
Because this is the first time we planted this, other than we did melons and corn, and
Mm-hmm.
then that piece up through the fall was our first
Yeah, we
real
tripled
garden.
our capacity this
in
season.
the last 2 months.
Yeah, we got our first crops in mid-June last year, which is late for here.
Let me tell you, for a first season, this is beautiful. This is really beautiful. I mean, it's not like Elliott Coleman, okay? But it's very, very passable. Very passable.
He makes a good point. We ought to be tracking how much labor's going into this area.
Somebody should have a tick sheet.
How much poundage is coming
Absolutely.
out, and how much revenue is being generated from vegetables. Because we may find we're better off to drive 10 minutes over here to County Line and get our vegetables and just focus on livestock. I mean, at the end of the day, if they're good at vegetables and we're good at livestock, there's no problem with that either.
But at least, again though, because we're a destination farm and we want to connect, people
Here's another thing to think about. One of the things that we're doing this year, now see, we've never done horticulture for sale. Okay, we've always done it for ourselves. Grow our own vegetables and fruit. We've got apple trees and different things. So this year, for the first time, one of our former interns is coming back. And he is layering a completely autonomous entrepreneurial horticulture business at our farm.
Nice.
Okay? And so essentially, it's going to be his business. He buys it, he does everything. We just release him interns labor as needed. Okay? And he doesn't pay us anything except the 4 months of the summer when we have the interns. Here's the trade-off. The interns have to find their off-site housing. The trade-off is that this year, Dan is going to be an on-farm cook and do all the evening communal meals for all of us, plus all the interns, plus all the apprentices, the evening meal every day, growing it out of our space. We're going to pay him $15,000 for the produce. Half of it, 50% is for the produce, and 50% of it is for the cooking labor for the 4 months.
So
then whatever else he does, and he plans to do a lot more than that, can sell to our restaurants, our buying clubs, our on-farm sales. He's learned how to do specialty mushrooms. So he's going to do 4 exotic mushroom species. I'm cutting logs for him right now. The thing is, I want you to really think about how do we take some of these enterprises and turn them over to an entrepreneurial, royalty-based, self-financed thing.
Got it.
Okay, so I think sometimes some of these things, if you can figure out, like our rabbits, Daniel basically gave over his rabbits to our apprentice manager, who would have been like Sal 2 years ago, and he just essentially gave him the business. We paid a certain amount per pound